We spend a lot of time and effort trying to become better leaders.
So let's take an example.
But is leadership something you can learn? Can anyone learn to become a better leader?
Is there an action? Is there a routine? Is there a behavior or strategy that makes me better at this thing that we call leadership?
You've read the books, done the workshops, you've Venn the diagrams.
A leadership wheel, a management wheel, a process wheel, everything ends up being these colorful wheels.
Too often, leadership development seems simply mystifying.
We have a lot of experience, unfortunately, in what doesn't work.
This matrix, those initials, so many frameworks.
Walk through a bookstore, walk through the business section, and pick a framework. And, which one's right? And they can't all be right.
Right? So many pompous gurus, so few real insights.
There are hundreds of different views on what leadership is.
There's so much information out there.
There's a lot of noise.
And a lot of that, I think, is sort of mystical and obscure.
We find a lot of cliches, I think, in the existing leadership landscape.
For all the effort, too many leaders end up feeling frustrated and confused. Struggling teams, stalled careers, they're stuck. Admired leadership is the answer. A very different vantage on leadership. A conviction that leadership is about what you do.
And the idea that I could change what I do and through that change how I lead was a really powerful idea.
30 years of research, 12,000 leaders studied. Every activity of excellence has foundational routines and behaviors, including leadership excellence. And that's what admired leadership has uncovered.
Admired leadership is a behavioral view of leadership that simply focuses on leaders who can both drive superior results in what they do, but also inspire incredible amounts of followership.
What do these leaders do that you and I don't?
Behaviors, not psychological gymnastics. How they give feedback, how they build relationships, how they make decisions.
People are shocked by the fact that they've been in leadership positions for maybe even 20 years, but never received any advice that they could act on immediately.
Until now, these admired leadership insights have been shared exclusively with private clients, with thousands of elite leaders in some of the world's most important organizations.
I've seen a lot of leadership development efforts over time, and I've seen nothing like this.
A far better alternative to anything else that's out there.
So people come back from admired leadership and they always say, in some variation, I never thought about that.
Now it's time to widen the conversation, to include all of us, leaders like you.
How about trying to become an Olympic level leader, an admired leader? How about that?
So for the first time, we're making admired leadership available in a digital format. We've selected 100 of the several hundred behaviors. There are 10 modules available. Each module includes 10 specific behaviors. Each behavior is explained in a video, most of them 10 minutes or less.
It's stuff you can do. You can know whether or not you've done it, and you can know whether or not you haven't done it.
And you'll know immediately if it's working or not.
It really comes down to behavior.
This is something you can apply with your kids, your peers, your friends, your family, and at work.
They're practical. They're applicable. Once you see them, you say, oh, I can use that.
Admired leadership is very different.
Just opened my eyes to a whole different level of leadership.
Be the kind of leader who understands it's not about them. A real leader is one who is dedicated to making other people better.
A leader is about the process of making people better. I believe that.
And the idea that people could seriously engage with this content in a way that makes them better for the purpose of helping to make people around them, situations around them better, is very exciting.
But over the decades, these past 30 years, there were no books, no videos, no public seminars. Admired leadership remained under the radar on purpose. So if you're curious, we'd like to share how admired leadership came to be. A few years ago, I came to this remote corner of the American West, looking for answers, insight. After decades as a journalist, I'd been working on digital news startups. And at one point, during some rapid growth, I was suddenly leading a growing team and feeling some turbulence. Then someone told me about admired leadership. I felt like I knew a lot about leadership. I'd read a lot over the years. I'd interviewed many great leaders, Stephen Covey, Edwards Deming. And yet somehow when it came to the day-to-day, it didn't feel like it was enough. It didn't feel like that I knew enough about how to handle the challenges that I was facing. At first I was skeptical. Could there really be anything new out there about leadership? Why hadn't I heard of admired leadership before? I learned that for decades, the team behind admired leadership, academics, researchers, former CEOs, nonprofit executives, had been hosting small groups of leaders here. They come in search of leadership wisdom.
It's been profound. I've been feverishly taking notes. Why did I not think of that?
Is this going to be another pick up a self-help book and read it? It's not that. It's really making this real, and the behaviors are truly universal and you can apply them.
How can we use feedback effectively to inspire people and make them better, but at the same time get the results that we need?
I wish I'd done it much sooner.
Admired leadership is the result of research triggered by a conversation between colleagues 3 decades ago.
I remember exactly where we were. I remember exactly the conversation. And you came into our mailroom and you said, I think I have a different way to think about leadership. And I said, what's that? And you said, it's about what you do. It's not about who you think you are. And you talked about behaviors, and behaviors is a way to get into the conversation. And I remember walking away from that conversation and thinking, he's absolutely right. It's all about what you do.
It's a comprehensive set of patterns, guidelines that help you both as a leader, but also as a human being.
I wish I had coaching earlier because I think I could have avoided some maybe bad decisions or bad practices or bad habits that were developed while I was growing my leadership skills.
The admired leader, in my opinion, really is that individual that becomes consciously competent on a daily basis.
Being conscious of how to be a better leader or a better dad or just a better person, and having a toolkit to be able to do that is so different. You don't see that in normal curriculum or normal leadership.
From the beginning, admired leadership emphasized a lower profile. It's never been about the charismatic leader or the sage on the stage. Even now on video, we still hold to those values. No gurus, no superstars. It's not about us.
You're not going to see a lot of names, a lot of biographies, a lot of here's how great I am. We want you to hear from us, but we want you to focus on the behaviors. It's about the content.
The tools, the strategies, the behaviors, the routines that we've offered give you a chance to be the best leader that you can possibly be.
The feedback I get from clients and leaders we work with all the time is, what's different about this is I can implement it, and I can implement it today.
The admired leadership content is clear, but not entry level, and it's tended to resonate the most with experienced leaders.
People who occupy a very special class.
Kind of curious, isn't it? Maybe it takes some time to realize that looking for hacks and tips and leadership shortcuts just doesn't work.
The difference with admired leader behaviors is that they're both compelling as well as timeless, and that's a hard combination to find.
Forging elite leadership takes a different kind of mettle.
Good enough is never good enough, and the best leaders never stop there.
The best leaders are always on the hunt for new insight, wisdom.
They're constantly pushing themselves past that point, but it requires commitment, it requires dedication, it requires real work.
Wisdom is at the heart of admired leadership.
Part of the way that I think about leadership is that it's blindingly obvious, but it also is very hard to see. And so what I mean by that is, I think a lot of people talk about it, but few people think deeply about it. So for me, what counts as leadership wisdom is something that, upon deep reflection, holds water and is persistent with you.
Wisdom is truly timeless and would work for leaders anywhere, in all situations.
But I also think that what makes something wise is that it is persistent in terms of repeated reflection and critique. That if I think about it over and over and over, some of these things that we talk about in admired leadership, we've been talking about for 20 years, and it's just as meaningful now as it was 20 years ago. I think that's an indication of wisdom.
The core distinctive of admired leadership is the emphasis on the behavioral rather than the psychological.
The psychological view that I had studied most of my academic life was just not practical.
Yet the psychological seems to dominate most leadership development discussions these days. How this person is different from that person, how a leader must juggle everyone's particular idiosyncrasies.
The problem is that it requires a huge amount of mental facility to do in the moment, and most people can't do it.
We're too focused on differences.
Psychology is important. Self-knowledge is requisite, but not sufficient.
Yes, we need to understand how people are different, but the value of that in terms of practicality goes away pretty quickly.
Knowing yourself is not enough. To work in the real world, we need strategies, behaviors that are universal.
So often people want to believe that leadership, there's a big mystique around leadership, or it's something that we're going to be able to look deep into the thousands of books out there and figure it out. And instead, the behavioral view really focuses on something you can do on a daily basis in every context.
You've heard an admired leader behavior when it just won't leave you. It sticks. It makes you think.
Behaviors that become part of your character, not hacks or tactics used for effect.
The second something starts to feel like a tactic, people smell it a mile away. It smells techniquey. And so therefore, the assessment is ungenuine.
The admired leadership path can make anyone a better leader.
I really do wish I had known this 25 years ago. I would have been such a better leader.
Gosh, I really wish in that situation that I had a couple of years before, someone would have given me this advice.
I think I'm a better leader. I think I'm a better advisor. I think I'm a better spouse. I think I'm a better parent. I think I'm a better friend.
And it's been extremely valuable for me.
It's made me exponentially better, as well as my family better, as well as my business. And for that, I'm eternally grateful.
Just watching the 5 free foundational videos could change your outlook on leadership. But mastering the behaviors in the modules could be truly transformational.
If you were only to master one behavior in our whole admired leadership catalog of behaviors, just one, and make it your own, you could have a profound impact on other people. Imagine the impact of mastering 5 or 10 or 20, maybe even 30 of them over time.
If you do it bit by bit and you focus on one thing at a time, right, and you try to make it a real behavior to you, over that 2-week, 3-week, month-long process to the point where it becomes just a pattern for how you just operate. And then now truly it's not just a behavior you're learning about, it's your behavior.
You absorb it, but you're not really sure what's going to happen when you get back to your desk. And then you get back to your desk and you say, oh, wait, I think I'm doing that. Am I doing that? Let me check it. And so I think having something you can always go back to say, am I getting it right?
Well, one of the things I think is so powerful about this digital program is it takes this whole one-on-one concept. It's very effective. The challenge is it doesn't scale as fast as maybe being able to have a digital approach with that's in sound bites of maybe 10 minutes where people can focus, they can go do something, they can come back and do another 10 minutes. I think that's a very powerful concept.
Some might say this behavioral approach seems like just old-fashioned common sense. The sad truth is, if it is common sense, it is not common practice.
Well, if it's common sense, why haven't you been doing it, right? Or what's holding you back?
When you actually think about your own behaviors compared to those that are defined as admired leader behaviors, you realize right off the bat, I've got a gap. And I think the awareness of having that gap is a keen awareness for any leader, and it's a great starting point.
Great leaders are hard to find. It seems bad leaders abound, and they do real damage. It's time to truly change the global conversation about leadership. And we invite you to join us on that mission.
That's the beauty of admired leadership and the catalog we've been able to create. And that is there's so much there, and there's always going to be more. We're trying to uncover more behaviors all the time and create a conversation where we learn more of the best practices from the best leaders on an ongoing basis.
You may not be able to find your way to a remote retreat flanked by ridges of sandstone, but you can take digital steps into the deep ideas fostered here. Better leaders make people better.
When you're touching people not only on their their professional life, but it's also making them better husbands, wives, brothers, sisters. That's deep, powerful thinking. And that is beyond them. Making people think beyond their own needs, making them think broader about the needs of others in a bigger way is really powerful. And I think admired leadership, I get that or some form of that every time people come back, every single time. And it's making them think deeper, dig a little deeper.
Become the leader others need you to be, the kind of leader you are meant to be.